Hello?
Mike, you have to come back from your vacation. When people tune into Half in the Bag, they want to see Mike Stacklasa and the other guy. They don't want to see the other guy and another other guy.
You're right. The fraud ratio has gone from 50% to 100%.
Yeah, the other Mike sucked. He was awful, so I shot him in the chest multiple times with a gun.
Oh my God. We've jumped the shark. Half in the Bag's gone downhill since episode 6. Hang on, I'll be right there.
Batarang, pipe bomb, utility belt, green arrow, a bow and arrow. Why do you need all those?
I'm making up my own superhero. He needs a weapon. That'll do.
Cool.
All it takes to be a superhero is the choice to fight evil.
Shut up, crime. Super is the new film by James Gunn that stars Rainn Wilson and, I forgot her name already. Super is the new film by James Gunn that stars Rainn Wilson and Emma Page. Super is the new film by James Gunn which stars Rainn Wilson and Ellen Page as would-be superheroes. Rainn Wilson is a schlubby cook who turns himself into a superhero vigilante in order to save his wife, who's played by Liv Tyler, from certain doom in the clutches of the evil drug lord / pimp Kevin Bacon.
Don't touch my car again. I'm going. That's not the kind of touching I meant.
Jay, what did you think?
I loved this movie. I loved this movie a lot. I'm a fan of James Gunn. I really liked his last movie, Slither, a lot. I really liked Tromeo and Juliet, which was the first movie he wrote and essentially co-directed with Lloyd Kaufman back in his Troma days. And so I went into this movie expecting a lot of things that he's sort of become known for. I expected the movie to be sort of twisted.
I'm gonna jerk off in my hand and go switch it around in the punch bowl. I'll meet you upstairs at 5.
Very violent. Sort of bizarre comedy.
Don't steal! Don't deal drugs! Don't molest kids!
What I was not expecting and what sort of elevated it for me from just being merely entertaining to something that's really kind of stuck with me is the sort of emotional core that it has. I was not expecting that. The movie is essentially a spiritual journey of self-discovery. That was not something that I would have expected from a movie where Rainn Wilson brains people with a pipe wrench.
Who do you think you're fooling? I just saw you.
I really liked Super as well. And you had mentioned that I should watch the movie Kick-Ass.
Oh, yeah. Did you see that, did you?
Well, from what I've heard, that the Kick-Ass comic is more dark than the movie is.
Yeah.
I enjoyed Kick-Ass. I just watched it. It was a fun movie.
Kick-Ass is an entertaining movie, but on a very sort of superficial level.
Yeah.
And that's about it. It's sort of, at a certain point, kind of becomes what it's sort of poking fun at, the conventions of superhero stories.
Yeah. If you see Super before you see Kick-Ass, like I did, Kick-Ass pales in comparison.
Yes.
Ta-da! How do I look?
That's inappropriate.
I was really surprised by Rainn Wilson. I was expecting it to be Dwight in a superhero costume. And it really is a pretty different character.
Yeah, and I was surprised by that. There were some really well-acted moments by him.
Jock, he stole my wife. Can you arrest him?
Sometimes it's better just to accept these things. There's that one part where he's praying to God, and he's just like...
That was probably my favorite
and
scene of the movie.
it connected because, I don't know, it's sort of like a moment like we've all been in, you know, where he's just like, I'm not funny, I'm not interesting, there's nothing special about me. Why am I who I am?
Well,
you know.
Yeah.
And it was very sad.
Yeah, that scene sort of epitomizes the tone of the whole movie in that he is very sincere and very sad and it's depressing, but at the same time he's saying things like even starving African children have a better life than him because at least their parents love him. And it's like, it's horribly sad, but at the same time you're sort of laughing.
Yeah.
And, that's kind of the tone of the whole movie.
I knew I was losing her.
And that was another thing too. It's like he's married to her. She plays a drug addict, a recovering drug addict who falls back into drugs, and she works in a strip club. And it's sort of like they're both very sad, lonely people, and it kind of makes sense that they would connect because of their loneliness.
There's a lot of comedies recently where they have the ugly, schlubby guy with the woman that's way too far out of his league. And this is one where it's sort of justified by the fact that she has just gotten off drugs. She's at a very sort of vulnerable place in her life, vulnerable moment in her life, and it makes sense that she would end up with a character like Rainn Wilson's.
Because if she was just like, happy Liv Tyler character that worked in a mall or something, it's like she wouldn't be with Rainn Wilson. He has to be deluded and demented, and she has to be deluded and demented for that relationship to work.
Yeah.
And that makes sense realistically, is that she found some comfort in him because he wasn't a sleazy pervert at the strip club, he wasn't a drug dealer, and she was, she saw like an innocence in him.
Yeah.
Like a purity, and she kind of attached herself to that. And I was like, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And it feels right.
You just sit here and wait for crime to happen?
That's right.
This is so boring.
What did you not like about Ellen Page in the movie?
I like her. I thought she did a good job. But it was that one element that, like Rainn Wilson, perfectly cast.
Yeah.
Kevin Bacon.
I liked Kevin Bacon in this a lot, too, actually.
Well cast.
Yeah.
He's Kevin Bacon. Liv Tyler was good. And then, even the cook that works in the shop with them was good.
I wish that guy had more scenes, because I liked him a lot.
He gave this, real, natural, performance.
Yeah.
It was wow, everyone in the film felt very natural and organic to the script, except for Ellen Page. I was like, that girl doesn't work in a comic book store. If she was cast by some, really kind of weird-looking, ugly girl, very strange, I would have bought it.
Her character and her performance was what I thought was the funniest stuff in the movie. And there's a really great scene in the movie where she has just crushed somebody's legs with the front of her car, and she's only half in her superhero costume. She's just in her bra, and she's outside of her car just jumping up and down and laughing at him with this childlike giggle. And she just has such an enthusiasm, and to me it felt it felt genuine. It didn't feel forced, like she's trying to act crazy. I really liked her a lot.
The first couple of times when she was laughing, it felt phony.
Really? I never felt that at all.
Well, you're wrong. It's kind of like Sexy Nerd Girl. I'm a big fan of Sexy Nerd Girl, especially her most recent video where she
buys dildos.
She goes dildo shopping. But Sexy Nerd Girl comes up to me as an actress playing a part. She doesn't really like all of those things, and when she says certain references, someone else wrote them. But when Ellen Page was talking about comic books with Rainn Wilson, it broke my suspension of disbelief.
Okay.
She doesn't know what that is in real life.
Yeah.
And it was the only thing that didn't feel kind of genuine. If I had to pick a flaw, it would be that.
Yeah. I guess because I liked her performance so much that didn't bother me at all.
Well, in the movie, too, there was a lot of, kind of overt themes, but they weren't hitting you over the head. Nathan Fillion is in it?
Yes.
Who plays the Christ, the Jesus superhero character?
The inspiration for Rainn Wilson becoming a superhero in this movie is that he's watching this TV show called The Holy Avenger, which is sort of a takeoff on Bible Man with Willie Ames.
Right back at you here, dude, with a little help from 1 John 4:18.
But there's a moment in the film where Rainn Wilson gets his superpowers, and it's his delusional dream that the finger of God touches his brain. Kind of a disturbing scene where they take his brain out.
Oh, it's a wonderful scene.
And then, of course, they keep showing this TV show, and there's this underlying theme that people can be deluded by religion or be pushed into violence by religious beliefs. On top of that, there's also the theme of glorification of violence.
Yes.
And that takes a turn towards the end when you're laughing along with the violence, but then something very horrific happens that kind of makes you feel guilty about enjoying the glorification of violence later on in the film. But those two themes that were woven into the film were very obvious to me, but they weren't bones.
This movie felt like a superhero